In this episode, I'm going to show you how to make a 3D rotating garment without any 3D software and most importantly on a really tight budget. This is episode 7 of Starting a Streetwear Brand. So by tuning into this episode, I'm assuming that you're probably starting your own clothing brand and you're likely to be allocating your budget in a smart way. Because let's face it, we don't all have the money for a photographer, a studio, and a model. I mean, these things can rack up quite quickly, and it's fine if you've got a friend who's, happy to model or, but you can't necessarily just call on them all the time. And, if you want to do something slightly different or redo it, then you have to do it all over again. So I'm trying to do something that I can just do as and when I need to without relying on anyone or any fees. And this is the budget that I've set for it. So I've just set £126 to get all this stuff. You might be able to get it cheaper because on Amazon things fluctuate in prices. But if you want to do it on the really, really, really tight part of the budget, it's going to be £23. So the main thing you're going to need is this creepy inflatable torso. And I'm probably going to be getting all sorts of ads for stag do's and stuff now. I hope not, but I might be. But anyway, this thing is great for my purposes because I don't want a torso like just stuck around in the studio or like a mannequin. I can just deflate this thing and put it away when I'm not using it. And it comes with a little punch repair kit. So if I'm a little bit aggressive with it, I can always fix it up. So there's that. Also, I've got a baby mobile and this thing, I'm going to have to do some modifications on it to take that annoying little sound out. And I didn't nick it from my baby, it's a brand new one. I've got some nylon thread as well. So this nylon thread was £3. The baby mobile was £10. And the torso was the initial 23 that I've spoke about getting started. Also, you're going to be using a green screen. The green screen came in at $17.99. And then we've got a stand as well for the green screen. You don't have to buy that again. You could just duct tape it to the wall and, be done with it. Or just, if you don't want to use a green screen, don't use a green screen. You can just Photoshop it out or whatever if you're just doing flat stills. But we're going to be making a 3D video. So I'm going to use a green screen just to make that process a lot easier. But you could do that on a black background, a white background. Totally up to you. So if you're looking to do that on the budget, then yeah, £23 will get you the inflatable torso and the nylon thread, and that will be the bare minimum. But anyway, let's get this guy inflated and see how he looks. So here he is. Here's our little inflatable torso. I haven't pumped this up before. This is the first time looking at it. Typical there to put the inflation thing right on the arse. But anyway, never mind. It's got a little 6-pack on it as well. Doesn't do anything at all. Doesn't make it any more defined. A tiny little waist. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to put a small on it as well because, I'm a large. It's got the same sort of shoulder width as me, but certainly not the same waist. And also, actually, it's got a little hook on the top, which is quite handy because I thought I was going to have to make my own one. So that's pretty handy, actually, that that's there. So fortunately at the studio here, we're blessed with 2 huge windows at the front and it's south facing as well. So we get loads of natural light that comes in. So I don't ever really need to worry about lighting so much when it's in the day, but in the evening, you don't really have that. So you could get some additional lights. I've got one here and I've got one over here at the moment, and these are new and I'm going to be using them a lot more in the future anyway. So it was a good investment. They were 40 quid as well, which is dirt cheap. I had to give this one a little tap to get it to work, so it's a little bit faulty already straight away, but I could send it back to Amazon and get them to send me a new one. But the idea is doing this on a budget, and I do like using natural light. So again, you don't need to buy these professional lights. Well, I wouldn't really call them professional, they're budget ones, but hey. So I'm going to show you how to do it with the natural light. I'm going to show you how to do it with the studio lights as well. So I've tried a couple of sizes on our guy, and I think he's more of a medium. I thought it'd be really small, but yeah, I think medium works. But one thing I noticed as well is when you put this on, the neck sticks out a little bit at the top, well, and it sticks out a lot, which I don't want. I mean, so this is it on. So I like the shape of, you know, this side view is what I was after basically, because you could just use a coat hanger, but I quite like that you can see the chest, how it falls down on the torso as well, and the back as well, with, you know, how it goes in between the shoulder blades. I quite like how it's falling on there. So this is the effects that I'm after, but I think the shoulders feel a little bit ridiculous. They're quite straight, and then they just cut straight off. So I think I'm going to do a little bit of a mod to try and bring them down a little bit. And also I want to get rid of this, so bury that down so that's submerged in as well. So I'm going to tape this in, I think, and see if I can disguise it a little bit more like that. I think it'll look a bit better, because I don't want that in shot. I just want it to be floating like that. So let's see what customizations I can do. Okay, so I've got the shoulders a bit smoother now as they go over, but I've still got the main neck area on show, which if it's tilted forward, it's not going to look great. You could do it from an angle like that, and you'll be fine. You'll get away with it, but you might want one dead on. So I'm going to have to get rid of the neck even more. So I'm thinking of getting some tape and going around it in a big loop so it pulls it down tight, and I think that will solve the problem. All right, so I think that's good enough now. So I've managed to pull that down a little bit more in the middle, and I think as well, like, you probably want the neck bit pulled out a little bit as well, so you can see the collar, and you can see like the neck print as well. So I'm going to put some neck labels in as well soon, so it'd be nice to showcase those. And I think as well I could put something along the liner as well, just so the neck looks a little bit more realistic too. So I could raise those up. So I could even just use like little bits of tape, actually just roll them up, or I'll find something else, I'm sure. Let's have a little scurry around, see what I can find. Bubble wrap, perfect. I don't know what that was that I will. I'm not gonna lie, this is definitely becoming a bit of a bodge job, but that's what happens when you're doing stuff on a budget. It's always a bodge job. So, hey ho. Yeah, that's much better. Yeah, I just needed something in there just to boost up the neck a little bit. So I think that's really good now, and that's submerged it even more, and given a bit more of a collarbone feel to it too. So it's actually worked out quite well doing that. Perfect. I'm just going to tape them into place so they're there for good. Okay, I think our guy is good to go. You know, I might make a few more adjustments as I go, but for now, I think you can see how it's shaping up. So on to the next stage. So the next thing on my list is to take the little chimes out of this. You can keep them in if you want. Me personally, I'm going to take them out. So I've had a little play around with what I've got, and these little clamps for the backdrop stand are what I'm going to use to attach to the light fittings. I mean, you could use anything else, like you could just tape to the ceiling, or you could get like a little hook from like a little hardware store for like gardening or whatever. But this is quite handy. If you've got something you can clip onto, go for something like that. I mean, everyone's got lights, but unless they're spotlights, then yeah, this will do the job. And what I've done as well is put a little ball chain underneath as well through the two eyelets. I tried to get the baby mobile through that, but it was just a little bit too thick. So I've got a little ball chain there, and I'm going to hang from that once I've clamped it to the lights. So I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so this is kind of shaping up as I imagined, but I've noticed a couple of things. So the mobile is rotating faster than the garment can keep up, and it's like spinning the thread round, obviously. So what I think I need to do, instead of having one thread down the middle, I need to have 4 coming down, and that will hopefully make it a bit more sturdy, and it will actually rotate at the same speed as the mobile. And also the sleeves are just kind of falling down. So what I might do is tape some pencils either side to kind of make the sleeves do that a bit more. No idea how that'll look, but let's give it a go. This by far is becoming the biggest bodge job I think I've ever done. So I think that having them directly out was a little bit too much, so I'm just going to try and find a middle ground and just take them down so they're just a little bit more casual. So these are the lights that I've got set up. I've got one on the right and then I got one on the left. So it's giving it a double prong, and I got the camera here directly in front, and you could have that lower or higher depending on what you're after. And I'm just letting it rotate, do its thing with the little baby mobile up there turning away. So I'm just gonna let this rotate for a bit and get nice and stable so I can get a really nice consistent rotation. All right, so if you're opting for the natural light version, then you just want to make sure you've got loads of direct light coming in. You want to make sure as well that it's not directly in the sun, because that could be a little bit too harsh. So you want to do it like underneath something. So what you could do in this scenario, is what I've done, is I've put a little hook up here. So I'm going to hang up on that. We're going to then put the torso hanging down, and we've got the natural light coming straight in from there. So if it's a really bright day, you might want to reduce the shadows a little bit because it might be a little bit too harsh on the garment. So all you need to do for that is just hang a big white sheet up in front of the window, and that'll do a really good job at muting the light. And if it's an overcast day, that's exactly what you want, a real nice white natural light coming through. So with this setup, what I would probably do is have a green screen here, or like I say, if it's against a white wall or something, that would work fine. You could just do that too. Or you could just get a piece of wood, put that in front of it, whatever, the choice is yours really. But this, like I say, would be like the bare minimum with natural lighting. So now we've finished the shoot, I'm happy with the footage. So I'm gonna chuck it into Premiere Pro and I'm gonna remove the green screen. So when you first open up Premiere Pro, you just wanna drag our footage into the main media drop area. So I'm then gonna drag that over into the main timeline. I'm going to keep the existing settings. What I'm doing is a square one. You can do whatever you like. I'm going for 1080 by 1080. And if you wanted to change that, you just go up to sequence settings. So I'm going to change this to 1080 by 1080. And then I'm going to reposition in the middle. I'm just using this long bottom to get the whole thing. I'm just going to scrub across until I can get that perfect sweet spot. So it'll be somewhere towards the end where it's nice and stable. So I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna get the razor tool. Just do a quick snip there. We'll get rid of the front, drag everything over to the start, and then we just want one rotation. So I'll get that all the way around. There we go. Again, get that razor tool and chop off the end. So we want this to be a solid loop as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to put on the loop playback. If you don't have that option visible, just go over here, click the little plus button, and then it brings up all these other items and you can drag and drop them into there. And then make sure that's selected, and then that will just continue to loop. So at the moment it's super slow, so I can speed that up. So if I right click and then go to speed duration, I'm going to change this to, let's say 300, I think will be good, because it won't be too fast, but it'll be sped up enough that it feels comfortable. So we'll see how this feels. So I think that feels nice. Could even go to 350 actually. I think it's just a touch too slow. So I'm going to go to 350 for that. Let's see how that feels now. Yeah, I think that feels much better. Yeah, it's looking good. And then we'll see how it loops back. So that was a little bit glitchy. What I'm going to do for now is I'm just going to make it, so I'm going to go back to 350, but I'm going to boost it up to 600 just so I can get a bit more of an idea of that middle bit where it meets. Yeah, so I think it's going to add a little bit more on. There we go, that felt a lot cleaner. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna go back down to 350 now for that. Next stage, we wanna get rid of the green screen. First, we're gonna go over to opacity. We're gonna get the pen tool and we're gonna draw where we want to mask. So I'm gonna draw this in loosely to start with, and then I'm gonna rotate to make sure that I don't catch anything along the way. And that looks good. So what I'm going to do is I actually bring them in a bit more, make it a bit of a tighter crop so I can get rid of all that background noise. So I'm pretty happy with this now. So what I want to do is now I want to go and select the green screen and I want to get rid of that. So if I go to effects and over here, you want to type in ultra and then you get ultra key. So I'm going to drag that over onto my scene. And then I'm going to go back to editing over here, and down here where we've got the key color, instead of black, I want to use the picker and I'm going to go and select that green. So you can see we've got a little bit of shadowing coming through here. So I want to get rid of that by going to matte generation, and I want to tweak the settings here, so the highlights and the shadows. So in order to see that a bit better, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to composition, I'm going to go to the output, and I'm going to go to alpha channel, so we can see a lot more of that coming through now. Now I'm going to tweak the highlights and get rid of those and bring those down. Might bring them up a little bit just to be safe. And the shadows, I want to pull them out too. And then we go to the pedestal as well, and I'm just going to crank that up a little bit. I'm just going to spin it around. There you go, because you can see the light is casting over here a bit now. So I'm going to try and get rid of that highlight over there. Keep it rotating. All right, that feels a little bit better now. All right, so if we go back to the composite channel, we'll see how that's looking. I think that looks nice. So I'm going to go and export this now. So we'll go to File, Export, Media. So I'm going to save this to my desktop for now. And I want to make this an H.624, so that's going to be an MP4. And then I'm going to queue that, and that'll then open it up in Media Encoder. And then once we've got it into Media Encoder, I'm going to hit play on it. That'll do its thing, and then we'll have a look how it turned out. So I hope this has given you guys some value, something that you could work with on a bit of a budget and have a little bit more freedom with it as well. And I think it's a nice thing to be creative with as well. You know, you can get a little bit more involved with the process, take your time with it rather than rushing to get a model on the timeline and things like that. Just think it's a nice way to just be a little bit calmer and controlled about the whole process. So I'm going to do this a lot more in the future. I definitely know that. I'm going to get a model as well from time to time, but I'm going to do that when I can reinvest from, you know, initial sales rather than just chucking all the budget at it straight away and hoping for the best. So I'm nearly there now. All I need to do is sew in the neck labels. I'm going to use these for neck labels and hem tags. So I'm going to have one at the bottom and one in the neckline, and I'm going to sew in the sizes as well. So I was initially going to do a screen print for the neck labels, but I just think that sewing in a nice label is just a bit of a nicer touch. I'm also going to do it right in the neckline as well, because I know some companies, like, they sew around it onto the actual garment, like on the back, so you can see like a little square from where they've sewn it on. And I think that looks a little bit cheap. And then sometimes with the screen printed neck labels, if it's on a white shirt, you can see through to that. Even if you do like a gray, you can still see it sometimes. So I don't really want that. I might play around with it a little bit more to try and get that right in the future. But for now, I'm going to sew in the neck labels because I think that feels a little bit more higher end. So that's what I'm going to go for now. So that will be in the next video. Also going to be working on how to package these as well, chucking a couple of little surprises for people and make it a nice premium unboxing experience. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Click like if you found this useful. And if you want to tune in for the next episode, hit the subscribe button so you can be notified when the next one drops. And in the meantime, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.